Hello, yo, what's up? Today we'll be talking about a book that everyone been speaking of it, and it was one of the bestsellers book in 2019. The book is obviously Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. First of all, we start. Was this book worth the fuss? Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I was just ready to get disappointed, honestly. I was just really ready to get disappointed. And I've had it just on my to-read list for the sake of having it on my to-read list. Then turned out that I got a copy right to my house for no reason. My sister got her copy from her friend. And I just saw that. I was like, okay, let me just test it out. I'm not gonna read it because I've been reading 5 books at the same time. And after I tested it out, I couldn't get my hands off it. I couldn't get my hands off it, honestly. No, for real. Basically, this book was everywhere from the top of the list, like literally everywhere. And whether you go to Book Depository, whether you go to Amazon, whether you go to any bookshop, it's just on the top list. So it was always been in the background, even on Goodreads. I don't know. It was just there. It was just there. Have I heard so much about it? Honestly, no. For the past year, I've been focusing on what do I want to read and not what's on top of the bestseller list. But I just actually downloaded it to read it on Kindle. And then I got the physical copy and I was like, yeah, let's just do it. I had no expectations of it, honestly. I did not have any expectations of what the book is going to be about, what the story is going to be about. I had no clue. The only thing that I knew was a murder story and that's it. This one really took me by surprise because of how fresh the content was. So yeah, there were two main opinions about this book. People who said that this book was overrated and extremely boring, and ones who really appreciated it. And I was surprised to be the ones who appreciated it. The reason why I feel like people were taken aback by this book, I think it did not have that much plot in it. And the characters, let's be real, the characters are flat, okay? Relatively flat. They lack presence in the story. And to me, I felt like that was a necessary way to narrate the book or lay it out. And that's what kind of made it special. This book was not about humans and how they interact. It was more about how nature as a character, as a force, is the dominant one, and everyone plays a part within that much bigger system. And I felt like it was really necessary not to have a very charismatic and very present characters. It's the first time I feel like that. It's the first time I read a book where the characters are flat and I felt it was necessary to make them flat. I believe what makes Where the Crawdads Sing a very, very special and unique book is its unique perspective in perceiving humanity and our urges and our emotions. Delia Owens manages to put the reader into the perspective of a biologist, that we're all part of this natural biological system, and she talks about them in all aspects, since the most dominant aspect that she puts is loneliness, and then love, and then family in a sense, and also sex. She lays down that out, where she really puts out like interesting biological concept, like there's something that is called the sneaky fuckers. It's actually a biological concept. If you just wiki it, it's just hilarious. It's not hilarious, it's actually true, and that's the weird part. You just laugh at it, but then realize it's true. And this book just puts a really regular story that we've heard it a million times, but it's just in a fresh, new perspective. And I really love that. I love Delia Owens for doing that. Basically, we follow the life of this girl whose name is Kaya. I actually called her Kia in my head, just like the car. Vroom vroom. But I think I'm gonna continue with Kia because I like Kia more than Kaya. But anyways, the story starts with crime And then we go to the past where we start to see this little girl, who's I think 7 or 9 years old, and basically she lives in this very disruptive environment. And what I really liked about kind of the suspense in the book was focusing more on trying to figure out that poisonous, disruptive environment that she was living in. I don't understand what's going on. Like, her father is an alcoholic and abusive, and you see, you get lost because you are in the head of a little girl who's trying to absorb what is happening around her, and she does not comprehend it. So you get to feel that kind of confusion in the beginning. Everything will get explained bits by bits. The more she grows up, the more she understands what was actually happening in her household. And what I really like, there will be a point in the middle of the book where somebody will tell her, like a member of her family, they meet together again, and he explains to her what was actually happening, and she goes like, "Oh, I did not know that. I did not realize that." So it was a very heartbreaking chapter. It was a really nice one. I really loved it. So basically, start to have this story of Kia just trying to figure what was actually happening in her past life. And I realized from some of the reviews that I've read in Goodreads, many people enjoyed the drama of the crime more than the actual story, which becomes more dominant in the last third of the book, where the last third is just solely about the crime where Kaya gets involved in as a suspect. But actually, that plot did not interest me. But this was the solely plot-driven part that made people interesting. When you quieten down the characters, it allowed a space for nature to play a role, and I felt like where the Crawdads sings, this is one of the very, very few books that you can sense the presence of a higher power. The book was actually, it felt like there was this soundtrack that was playing when you were reading some parts about Kaya's life. You could actually, it was one of those few books where you could actually hear the sound of waves, where you can actually hear the sound of insects, seagulls, sand. I don't know, they had like this audio experience that I personally did not have with any other book. Like, as people who live in cities, as people who deal with loneliness in a daily aspect, everyone does feel it, no matter how much we try to suppress it or deny it. I feel like that is, for those two reasons, I feel like many people were able to resonate and connect with the book, and that highly explains why it got so much acclaim, or it stayed a really long time on top of the booksellers list. The book was really genuinely worth the hype. I can rarely say that, but it actually did. So yeah, those are the things that I want to express about the book. This is I am done. So yeah, hope you've enjoyed this. I think I did subscribe because that's fucking stupid, but okay.